Hey guys, it's Miss Birds again. So today we're finally gonna end our contour drawing, and we're gonna end that by going through and adding in some shading. Now, you're gonna wanna have your original drawing with you, a nice sharpened pencil, and then if you were able to pick up your supplies packet, you should have a stump or a tortillon in there for you. If you don't have that, you can use a rolled up piece of newspaper. That will work very well. You can also use your finger, but I don't recommend using your finger only because it's got oils on it, right? Which means that eventually you could be transferring those oils to your paper, and it can really just mess up with your, really just kind of mess up your drawing. You don't want those additional oils on there because they might smudge, and you might not be able to get a nice, smooth, easy graphite transfer on top, okay? So best practice is to use the stump that was given to you in your supplies packet. Again, if you did not pick up your supplies packet or you haven't gotten to it yet, please make sure that you use something to help you blend out your values a little bit better and help you blend out your graphite, okay? So I've gone through, I've created my contour drawing. I put in some of the details. I didn't finish putting in my details all the way, but I went through and did most of them on my thumb, my index finger, and my other fingers as well. So what I'm gonna do is now I'm gonna go into my drawing and I'm gonna add some shading to make it look a little bit more realistic. So again, I'm gonna wanna put my hand in that same general position, and depending on where your light source is coming from, is going to depend where the shadow and the highlights of your hand are, okay? So I'm going through and I have a window pretty much in front of me, so most of my light is coming this way, which means that the back side of my fingers, sorry, I didn't give you a good example. So the light is coming from in front of me, right? So a lot of my light is hitting right here on the top of my fingers, whereas the back side of my fingers, you can see it's really, really dark. So I'm just gonna go in and I'm just gonna start putting in some value onto my fingers in the areas where I want it to be dark. And on my finger, the values pretty much go up like pretty high. So I'm just gonna start by doing a very small amount of graphite. I'm not pushing down too hard. Remember, when it comes to the graphite, it's so much easier to go back and add to it than it is to erase, right? So if you do something really, really dark and you decide you don't want it to be as dark, it's a lot more difficult to go back and erase those dark spots than it is to start light and kind of just add to it. So just go easy, okay? And once I put in my value, I'm gonna start using my stump to go through and kind of blend it out a lot nicer. Okay, so I want to make sure that I'm blending out those values so that I show where the light is coming from, where the light source is coming from. And if you happen to start losing, okay, like some of your lines, so you'll notice when you go over with the stump, it does tend to lighten some of the areas. You can always go back and you can darken those lines, right? So I had a very small line right here, and I can't really see it now that I've blended some of that extra graphite. So I'm gonna go in on top, kind of just add that line again, okay? So I want you to go through and you are going to be adding in value, okay? So you should have areas that are a lot darker, a lot lighter. Remember, the more values that we put into our drawing, the more realistic it's gonna look, right? So the more value we put in, the more like visual information we're giving our viewer, and it's gonna look more realistic, which is exactly what we want our artwork to look like, right? It's very easy to draw things that are very flat and don't have a lot of value, but it really helps improve your art skill when you do take the time to put in the value and make it look realistic, and your forms will start looking a lot more three-dimensional, and it's a very good skill and quality to have, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and continue working on this, hoping that I will be able to show you guys the finished product, all right? So you guys will be going in, completing your drawings by adding in this last phase, which is value. Okay. Okay, so we want to add in those shading areas, right? The areas where it's really light, we're getting a highlight, and the areas where we're seeing shadows. Okay, so that is your assignment today. Once you're done with your assignment, go ahead and make sure that you take a picture and send it into Google Classroom.